The meeting of the Shreveport City Council has now been called to order. Councilman Fleury will lead us in prayer, and Councilman Corbin will lead us in prayer. Thank you.
Let us pray. Lord God, you know our pride and our arrogance and our sinfulness and our self-centeredness, but you still love us with your perfect love. Such love is more than we can comprehend, but we fall on our knees this day in gratitude and obedience. We pray for this city and all of its employees for safety, wisdom, and knowledge for this council. We offer this prayer in the name of our Savior, Christ Jesus, your Son and our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Councilman Bradford is here. Councilman Everson.
Here.
Councilman Jenkins.
Present.
Councilman Corbin.
Present.
Councilman Fleury.
Present.
Councilwoman Lee. Here. And Councilman Bowles.
Here. Did you get Councilman Bradford?
His surrogate answer for him.
Long as you don't have to have a baby.
Tomorrow, I entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the administrative conference and the city council meeting on the 24th and 25th of September. Does any council member have any one that like to recognize any business?
Well, I did want to just acknowledge that we've got some people here today from the Holiday Inn that are here to share some comments about the Lake Street legislation that we had. But I think no, we don't have public comment period officially today, so if it's appropriate, I'd like to just invite them up real quick just to, say a few words. Is that appropriate right now?
Yeah, by the way, I would say it's an agenda item regardless.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's relevant. I just didn't know if this is the right time or if we'd rather wait till later. So if you guys want to come up, what I want to share while they're coming up is, we have this on our agenda today, and the purpose of this legislation, again, is to kind of put some pressure to see this project move forward. If you'll recall, we are in a three-party agreement. It was the City of Shreveport, the Holiday Inn, the group that owns the Holiday Inn, and the railroad company. We have done what we said we would do. They have done what they said they would do. We just want the railroad company to do what they said they would do in a timely manner. The railroad company has responded since this legislation has been introduced, saying that they would be able to share something within a few weeks. So what I am proposing that we do is postpone this a few weeks to give them time to make good on that commitment. And I invited Holiday Inn to just be here today and express to us how important it is to them that this be resolved as well.
All right. Thank you, Councilman Everson. I appreciate your time that you gave us this past week to come and hear us out. And
Can you step close to the microphone?
sorry, how's that?
There you go.
So my name is Carl Hagans. I'm the general manager, new general manager here at the Holiday Inn Shreveport downtown at Lake Street and Spring. This is a project that I kind of fell into my lap, I suppose, once I became the GM early last year. And I think it's appropriate and important for everybody that may not know that for us at the Holiday Inn, we are perfectly happy and willing and accepting of the Lake Street crossing opening again. Our goal in the beginning was to make that a no-blow zone, essentially, to help protect our guests and their comfort. I understand that it has taken some time with very little movement and progress on this. I get that, and I know it's frustrating for everybody else that's involved. But that still remains to be our main goal. For us, we would like it to be considered, at the protection of ourselves, just to put it bluntly, that not only it get reopened, but that there are measures in place, written kind of in stone, that says the no-blow zone will still take place. For us, that's the ultimate concern. It's not that the road is closed or open. Okay, we too are affected by the road itself being closed. I get complaints on a daily that we're hard to get to, or the traffic is dangerous when they're trying to cross over those 4 lanes there at Spring Street. And so we too are affected by that. But we are more so affected by that train noise. It's something that we have to contend with, like it or not. And so this is an opportunity for us to combat that. Ultimately, we want to stay a branded hotel, and by simply saying we're just going to open the road back up, we won't survive. I mean, and there's no other way to put it. We will not survive. We will lose our flag just as we did a few years prior. And so I would like that to kind of be understood. I appreciate everybody's hard work, and furthermore, we provide a great deal of revenue by it being a branded hotel. When we became a non-branded Shreveport downtown hotel, our revenue stream, which is the revenue stream also that the city gains from, was cut by 1/3. I mean, it was drastic. Okay, and so for us, again, it's just important that everybody involved understand that it's not that we're opposing the road being open. It's just that we feel like for our protection, it has to be more in depth than that. Not to mention, we employ between it and our sister property, just at the other corner of Lake Street, over 100 employees. If we were to lose our flag again, our employment level would drop to less than 30 employees. Okay, and then we have 6 other sister properties here in Shreveport-Bossier. And so that too is very important to us. We've built a relationship with Shreveport over the years, and we'd like to see that continue as strong and fruitful for everybody involved for as long as possible. And opening that road and it not being a no-blow zone is just simply not going to make it feasible.
And you may want to mention also the level of investment that y'all put in recently into those 2
That's
properties.
correct.
Right?
So we recently have taken on the project of the Chateau Suites Hotel. We are investing over $4 million to convert that to a Holiday Inn Express. That is already financed. It's already committed. We've already got the brand commitment for it, and it is underway right now. Hopefully, within the next 9 months or so, that will be a completed project, as long as there's no hiccups along the way. So we will have a second branded hotel right here at the entrance of Shreveport, especially in the downtown area. And then furthermore, we've already written into contract our PIP for the Holiday Inn full service. And so that too will be upwards of $4 million that we will be investing back into that property. And we simply cannot afford to do it should we lose our flag.
So they've got a lot at stake here too. These are a lot of jobs for people that go in to serve these visitors to our community. And again, this is something that they're able to do now, but they, along with us, committed to this deal with a third party to get this project done in a timely manner.
Right.
And they've done what they said, and we've done what we said.
Well, and I'd also like
we just
to
need it to finish.
I'd like to add on that note too. When it comes to the cost of those crossing arms to make that a no-blow zone, our ownership and management company has committed to paying for at least half that. Mm-hmm. Okay, and that was done back 4 years ago when this project started. I have spoken with him personally to where we had on retainer $500,000 to cover the cost, or as much of the cost as possible, to see that this project gets done. And so it's not that we've just said this is what we want. We're willing to at least help in financing to see that it get completed and completed properly, without as little burden on everybody involved.
And we thank you for that. Honestly, that's one of the reasons this project can be done. This has been a difficult intersection for many years. This is something that does improve the quality of our public safety in the area, and it's a good project. I don't think anyone, and somebody feel free to correct me if you feel differently, but I don't think anyone thinks that this is not a good project. I think this is a great project. I just think that y'all and us all when we committed to it, we're told a certain timeline that we need our other partner to help make that timeline a reality.
Sure, absolutely.
Appreciate
Absolutely.
y'all coming down and sharing that with us. And certainly, if anybody has any questions.
Yeah, let me harm in for a second, Councilman. And I could appreciate all that you said. Great investment, the revenue that you generate, the city benefit of those revenues, all taken into account.
Sure.
Now, what triggered this? And again, the resolution to close the Lake Street Union Pacific crossing temporarily was before we came aboard.
Sure.
The mayor, this council, some of the council members were here, but we understood what that was about and what motivated it. But there's been some new equations added to this, and what triggered the revisit of this is that there was some business owners adjacent to Lake Street, to this property. They came down and said, we are, like you, we are losing business because of this closing, and the time has expired. Can y'all look at revisiting this? I appreciate the fact that you're willing to work with us and work with the Union Pacific people, but we're waiting on them. I did not take into consideration the economic impact that Holiday Inn was generating. I knew a couple years ago you lost your franchise.
Yes, sir.
You invested a lot of money to bring it back up to speed, and now you're operating on a real good level with the branded company.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
You feel if this was to reopen with the whistleblowing reestablished that you will lose guests?
Absolutely. There's no question about it. I would be willing to, I would venture to say that within 6 months we would lose our flag.
And do you have any idea what tax revenue the city benefits from your business?
Last year we gave forth around 250,000, something like that. We have just in taxes to the city by occupancy and city tax. This year we have already on the books 255,000 in taxes.
Okay. And my reason for asking that, I do not know, Jeff, the businesses, the adjacent businesses that are also being impacted, they're not at the level of Holiday Inn, I wouldn't trust.
I wouldn't imagine. I don't know. But I would not imagine that they're
They don't pay the additional hotel motel tax.
correct.
Which is adding into that.
So the 6%, yes, you are correct, 6% goes to the Visitor and Tourist Bureau, and then 4.6% goes to the city.
Okay. I guess what I'm saying, all that to say is that, especially with the part about you willing to invest in the cost of the crossing guard, that's what I mean. That's you and the railroad people.
Sure.
I am going to support Jeff Efferson's, who's the council for that district, proposal that we wait a while and see what we can work out.
Yes, sir.
I do not want to do anything to cause or create any suggestion or image that Holiday Inn is being put at risk at this stage.
Thank you.
Hopefully, we can get with them. We can't, for the benefit of the whole area, prolong this eternal.
Yes, sir.
We got
Absolutely.
to come to a resolution.
And we agree.
And,
I think it's. I appreciate your comment, and I want to make sure that we're clear here. And I know I said it already, and I think it's good for us to just remember here. This is our opportunity to try to make this happen. I don't think anybody disagrees that this is a good idea. This is something everyone wants done. We just need to motivate that party that needs a little extra push to get that done. And I know that the administration has been working towards that. I know that they have recently gotten another update of time from them. And I think that it's very prudent for us to just kind of delay this consideration until they have an opportunity to to meet their latest commitment, and hopefully they get it, and we can just all be glad that this is moving on and behind us. And I think that would be the best for everybody, because they've got some great things going on. I really don't want it to kind of become a who deserves more protection of the law, because we all deserve it. I mean, them and the other business owners. I don't want to pit them against each other. Like they have done a great thing as a hotel. The other business owners also have a right to their concerns and their desire for this to be on time as well. But I think we can all do it together and get the result that we're all looking for. I think that's my hope here. So.
Councilwoman Lynch?
I wanted to ask about the restaurant and the lunch. What's the deal with that?
Well, so we attempted to bring back the lunch for a little while. I appreciate you asking about that. We are looking into bringing it back again. And actually, it goes along with this same opening here. One of the complaints that we had was that it was too difficult to get to from the downtown area. And so, perhaps getting this resolved as far as with the crossing there, that maybe that'll help us in moving that forward. We hated to see it go again. It was doing really well for what we thought, and we are looking to bring it back. We're hoping that we can maybe advertise a little bit better this time and when we get started. But yes, we do intend on bringing it back. Just at the time, it didn't work with everything else that we had going on. We had some construction stuff going on. We had we installed elevators and had carpet, all sorts of different things going on, and so it just got pushed to the back burner at the time. But we do have every intention of bringing it back again.
What's the time frame you think on that?
Oh, you're going to make me commit to something. If I had to guess, I would say maybe after the first of the year.
Okay. So
Of course, we are always welcoming of special meetings and things like that. We'll do a special menu.
I just want to know when I'm going to start my keto.
Oh,
and
okay.
then when I'll come off when you open back up.
No pressure.
Thank
We'll
you.
try to get it done sooner. Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Blair?
the question we ought to be asking is whether Councilman Bradford knew the lunch was coming back before he put his...
And the reason he's asking that because I told him y'all was serving lunch on Fridays and we went down and y'all
We
weren't.
weren't.
So I apologize, Councilman.
Anyone else?
Yes, I'd like to give an update on our contact with Union Pacific. I think, Patrick, Mr. Furlong, were you able to make contact with them? Can you come up and just tell us a little bit about that conversation? And we will be pushing and pushing.
Thank you
And
very
pushing
much. I
till we get
appreciate
some
your
results.
and I must compliment your administration's response. I mean, y'all have been very responsive in this situation. I just want that to be included in the dialogue here. Is that we really have had a lot of people doing the right thing on this. It's just there are some issues that are outside of our control that have been
Yes.
what's kind of slowed it down.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for being here.
The last communication with UP was a little less than 2 weeks ago. I think it was on the 26th. They responded and said they'd have something to us in a couple weeks. So we're not at that point yet. From their last correspondence, a couple weeks would be on Wednesday.
And if they don't contact us, I'll contact them.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank
So
you.
that's going to be just because we're on the topic now. We haven't quite gotten there yet on the agenda, but like Councilman Bradford said, and I've briefly mentioned, my proposal is going to be to postpone it for several weeks to get them a chance to get that to us. So that we can, hopefully they will get that to us on their timeline this time.
So Mayor, what are you anticipating them presenting a proposal? Do you have any idea?
Well, we just need them to give us permission to provide the funding so that we can get that on.
That's correct.
So essentially, they
the
have
cost
to have the
estimate is what we're
construction
waiting
done.
on
That's right.
with the
Yes.
engineering report, and then
Yes.
once we do that and it's approved by the administration to go forward, the funds have already been set aside, both by the city and the private company that just made conversation here.
Absolutely.
And so the railroad will actually be doing the construction, not the city.
And we'll have to push them on that too. But we will push. We've been trying, and for a while there was no response from UP.
No.
And so we would send, communication, and we did not get anything back. But this time we're going to be calling and writing and pushing until we can get something done so that we can get it resolved. We need that expansion in Shreveport with the Holiday Inn Express, and we need the renovation that you're expanding with your Holiday Inn downtown. So we're trying to make sure we can get more jobs. So we'll be pushing as hard as we can and trying to get to the right people.
Any other council member have someone they'd like to recognize?
Yes, I'd like to recognize Stacy Brown to give us an update on Miss USA. Should I say Miss USA pageant
Yes,
and Miss Teen?
absolutely. Mayor Tyler, Chairman Bowman, Council, I appreciate you allowing me to come before you today to give you an update on the Miss USA and the Miss Teen USA pageants that were held here earlier this year and were a tremendous success. In commemoration,
Need some help?
got a little poster for you with some photographs from the pageants, as well as the Times article about the pageants.
Wow.
Great.
John Settle would like to have that picture.
I missed the one of him.
Pay $50,000 for a
Well, that's good because they didn't.
$100,000 commission and seal.
And I wanted to say a special thank you to the mayor for riding in the parade as well and being willing to enjoy the heat for a little bit and participate. That was definitely one of the highlights for the contestants to be able to participate in that parade. They've never had anything quite like that, and they really enjoyed it. It also showed up well on camera, so we appreciate all that you did to make that happen. In front of you, you have some commemorative water as well. A number of our local businesses really jumped on board and said, hey, we want to be a part of this. And Music Mountain was one of those, and they produced water with the pageant labels on them. So that was something we could, again, highlight to the pageants how receptive our community was to hosting them. You also have a copy of the competition publicity report. I won't say that too fast. So that gives you kind of an overview of the numbers of what it meant to us as far as our public relations and media value for hosting those competitions. So during the Miss USA pageant, leading up to it, there were over 17.5 million viewers nationally from media broadcast coverage. So that's not the televised pageants. That's all the interviews leading up to it. That's what they called their local coverage, was the hometowns of the contestants. So that's 67 million viewers. That was not from people within Shreveport-Bossier. That was from the contestants' home locations. So that was a value of about $7.2 million, as well as the overall national broadcast of about $1.2 million. And again, that's not even including the televised pageants themselves. That's just the coverage leading up to and after the pageants. One of the things we recognized that would be a major coup for us was the online value of this, because that's not just reaching today, it's reaching tomorrow and on into the future as well. So the domestic online engagement was 280,758 people viewing those. Or viewing that coverage. And of those articles and those posts, 279,000 of them included Shreveport-Bossier in our community in some way. So that was 280,000 articles and things on the web. Of those, 279,000 were including our community. So we had some excellent coverage there. There was also a number of international articles online, and that was about 15,400 online. Social media impressions, we were over 4.4 million social media impressions with a value of over $1 million. The actual broadcast of the competitions, both domestic and international, the valuation, it was 6.3 million domestic viewers for a value of over $3.5 million. That was on Fox and their 102 affiliates. The number of articles, that's the written articles about the pageant, was about 6,102 articles. Of those, it was over half of them that also talked about Shreveport, Bossier, our communities, and things that they did in our communities. So the total media value was approximately $13 million for the Miss USA pageant alone, with Miss Teen adding about another $2.2 million. And again, here we're just talking about media value. We've not talked at all yet about what they spent in our community and the actual dollars spent here. So the Louisiana spend generated by just the Miss Universe organization was about $3 million. That's not including friends, family, fans that came, just the host organization. But really, perhaps what's more important to our community is the actual visitors who came to Shreveport, Bossier. The contestants brought a significant number of friends and family with them, many of them staying the 10 days of the actual competition or longer, which is really a little more than we expected. So of those friends and family, to give you an example, the day following her crowning, Miss Nebraska, the now Miss USA, went on the Kelly and Ryan show, which is a nationally televised show. And they said, well, you know, what did you do? How did you call up all your friends and relatives after the show, after winning the competition, to tell them about winning? And she said, well, I didn't have to call a lot because 25 of them were in the audience. So that just goes to show you how many friends and family they brought with them to our pageants. So we had 102 contestants. So if each of them only generated 2 hotel rooms, that's over 2,040 room nights in our area. The actual Miss Universe organization purchased over 3,500 room nights in our community. So during their stay, they generated over 5,000 room nights, just those people. That's not including others. So when you look at it overall, we're looking at probably about 7,000 hotel room nights in our community. We know the majority of our visitor contestants actually came early. One of the things we had planned was to give some beautiful welcomes for them at the airport, and we thank the airport for their participation in that. But the days that we had planned it, we had limited numbers actually coming in because most of them came in early, which was a great problem to have. The towns were really excellent at welcoming them. We had a lot of welcome posters, welcome signs. The crews and many others came out to welcome them to their host hotels and also to the airport. A number of our men in uniform came and helped with the luggage and did a super job and really enjoyed themselves. The rental car companies, the Uber and Lyft drivers all saw increases. Our restaurants and local businesses, especially the clothing retailers, did exceptionally well during that time frame and saw great upticks in their business. The quality of life is not to be without mention as well. As probably many of you did, I received a lot of phone calls and emails from local people saying, I'm so glad we hosted this in our community. It gave me the opportunity to take my daughter or my granddaughter or grandson in many cases as well to the pageants to host something that is going to be showed not just nationally but internationally. In fact, some of you recognize the fact that Lauren Vizza, Miss Louisiana, who is from here in Shreveport, she actually went to the Miss USA pageant when we hosted them 20 years ago, and that was part of what got her started on her path. So it'll be interesting to see some of those overflows into the future. But because so much of it is online, we are still seeing people coming to us and talking to us about seeing the pageants online. In fact, just a couple of weeks ago, I got a text from one of my cousins that said, I was just viewing the Miss Teen pageant with my daughter, and guess who I saw in the background? And I was sitting with Mayor Tyler behind one of the shots, and so she sent that to me, a little screenshot. So it's nice to see that people are continuing to watch the pageants. Even better than that, though, they actually hired local people while they were here. They hired about 115 local individuals. They also hired a number of local companies. Some of those companies did such excellent work, they've said, we will take some of these companies with us when we go and produce pageants in other areas. So this event was tremendous for a number of reasons. One, it put us on a national and international stage. It showed us regionally as a great place to do business. It showcased the Hirsch Coliseum the Georges Pond, and all of that area as a tremendous place to host an event. And I have to say kudos to Scott Muscat and all of the staff and the owners there of the Mudbugs. They did a tremendous job as well. But this pageant could not have happened without your support, not just your financial support, but the city's support. I would get in trouble if I started naming names, because so many of these staff members did not only their job, they came out and volunteered. They did a tremendous job. And also want to say special thanks to Sportran and the work that they did, and their drivers. I had a number of people talk about what a wonderful time they had. The ladies who are what they call, not their chaperones, but they're the ladies that kind of watched over the contestants. They told me again and again and again, this is so much better than Vegas. We really enjoyed our experience. You were so welcoming, so friendly, and we had a wonderful time. So we are really excited about hosting this event and appreciate all of your support. Your $50,000 cash investment and your in-kind generated not only a $3 million direct economic impact from the pageant itself, from the organization committee, but about a $5.1 million direct economic impact, with just under another $2 million in indirect economic impact. So it had a tremendous impact on our community, our local citizens, and our businesses. So thank you so much for your foresight in hosting these pageants and all the work that you did to make it possible. So I just wanted to come today, give you some of those results, and tell you thank you personally.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Chairman. Councilman Bradford. Stacey, let me congratulate you on this report. Very, very detailed and positive
Thank you.
report. But I just want to also say that even though your expressions, I thought, was inclusive in what all took place and how positive this pageant was for the city of Shreveport, I don't always view the success of something in dollars and cents. I mean, there was some grumbling about the investment that we presented, $50,000, and but we can't just dismiss or not take advantage of these type of opportunities, because they do have a wide, broad benefit for the city.
Yes, they do.
You know, and whenever we can hold something of such positiveness and wholesomeness, we'll win. At the same time, there's not an event that comes to Shreveport that fits everybody. It's not a one-size-fits-all event. I mean, we have different events that comes here, and they attract the different sectors of our community. I hope that we could be more diverse in getting other positive attractions to come here. We got to take advantage of that. If we're going to be a city that's progressive and viable, we can't dismiss or let things like this pass us by. So thank you. I know you didn't have a whole lot of time to put it together, but you did it.
Well, it's pretty short.
But I appreciate all that took place at those days, those 10 days, and especially the way you put this report together and how impressive it is.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Councilman Epperson?
Thank you. And it's just a little bit of a follow-up to Councilman Bradford. And sort of along that line, I think, success begets success. I mean, I think this was what I saw when I went to these final events. I was seeing so many people that, and now granted, I don't go to a lot of pageants. I don't know who that crowd usually is, but there was a lot of people out and about that were very, very excited, and it looked great. I mean, it looked so good. I mean, and I just think that local people realizing that they could pull off such a big thing in such a short amount of time had to give some confidence to some of those, local event planners, some of those event managers, some of those, hotels and restaurants and everybody who participated in hosting this big thing. I mean, it was impressive, as somebody who's here a lot and attends a lot of events. I mean, I know we can do good stuff, but this was impressive. This was a very high-level event that came together, without any obvious flaw. I didn't see anything going wrong. I'm sure there's always something going wrong somewhere, but I didn't see anything. and I heard really positive things from parents, family, visitors, guests, locals, everybody who was interested in the event. Had really good experiences. I live near a few bed and breakfasts in town too, and there's a few in our neighborhood that I know were very booked out, and there was a very well-liked contestant who I think booked out 2 or 3 of those places, and we heard their party when we were going home after the event, and so I know that spilled over into lots of different places. It was it's easy to believe the numbers that you gave. I don't always feel that way with events. I don't always see that I saw it trickle over in as many places.
And we tried to be very conservative in giving you. I'd rather undershoot than overshoot. And I think there are so many layers to an event like this that you don't really think of all the different aspects. So one of the things we're doing is Paula Shugart, the president of Miss Universe, is doing a little short video talking about what a great place this is to plan your event and how we're able to turn that around. So utilizing it to go out and get other business.
And that's going to get us the opportunity to do some of the things like Councilman Bradford suggested, some things that appeal to a more diverse audience or different types of events, that kind of thing. Once we have that confidence to know that we can pull something off like this, we can go after other things with that on our resume already.
Absolutely. And for local people, so often we don't see ourselves the way others see us. And for a worldwide organization to come in and look at Hirsch Coliseum and say, this is a viable venue, when a lot of people here at home don't feel that way, it really gave that stamp of approval. And I think it made a lot of local people say, hey, I had no idea something like this could occur here, and that this venue looked so good. Many people haven't been there in a number of years, and they don't realize that George's Pond at Hirsch Coliseum is a totally different place than it was 5 years ago.
We go to the Mudbug games, and I still thought it looked impressively. I mean, it already looked good, but it looked really good that night.
Absolutely.
It really looked great.
Then, when you mentioned the types of people there, so I had the opportunity to sit next to Farouk, the owner and founder of Chi, and the president of Chi. So these are some executives from companies that work around the world that were right here in Shreveport-Bossier. So they were seeing firsthand what we had to offer, and they were here for a couple of weeks, many of them. So this was a great opportunity, and those judges, you may not have realized the caliber of people we had sitting in those judges' seats, and their perception of our community is very important. So there are a lot of different layers to an event like this.
Well, congratulations. It seemed to go very well from everything I could tell.
Thank you. Councilwoman Lynch.
Yes, where are they looking at hosting next year? Have they said?
There are some discussions. I know they're looking at a number of locations. They were very pleased with what they saw here and their experience here, and they would like to explore that opportunity.
Are they giving us first dibs, or are we just kind of thrown back in the mix with other cities?
Let me just say they would very much like to come back here. So it's, with everything, you need to look at all the different opportunities, not only for us, but for them, and making sure that it's the best match and the best timing.
Okay, thank you.
So coming to a medium-sized market didn't deter them at all. They appreciated it.
They definitely appreciated us. They love the way we make them feel. We make them feel very welcome and that they are special, and they really appreciate that.
Good. Thank you.
And just one comment, Mr. Chairman, and I want to say thank you to Mrs. Brown for her hard work and for, pulling us all together to make this happen. Sometimes you cannot measure everything in dollars and cents, but certainly the impact was felt by the city and by the businesses in our city. And but the coverage and the exposure that we had around the world, you cannot measure. So many people did not know about Shreveport, but they do now. And so we've got young people wanting to come back to Shreveport this weekend. I spent all weekend going from one place to another, some city events and some other events. And we have young people now wanting to come back to Shreveport, and they are already locating back in Shreveport. But businesses have now picked up on the fact that we are a great place to be, and we're going to be working on our self-image to ensure that people understand what a good place this is. to live, work, and play. So I want to also commend, while I'm doing the first responders in Shreveport. We had a Shreveport Police Department, a Shreveport Fire Department were out there making it happen every single day that the contestants and their families were in the city. We didn't have any incidents at all.
Not a single incident.
So it was
they were
just
fabulous.
Everything went off as smoothly as if we had been planning for 3 or 4 years. And so I do want to commend everybody for the hard work and for just making people feel like this is a good place to be. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, and congratulations again to you.
Thank you.
Any other council member?
Yes, sir.
All right. Mayor, no.
And so who gets the picture? Oh, my goodness. We'll hang it so everybody can see it. Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Mayor Tyler, did you have any communications?
I just have some reappointments I'd like to bring up today, if that's okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, Downtown Development Authority, we have some reappointments that we need to make today, and I'm going to ask all 4 of these persons if they'll come up, and if you have questions, certainly they will be able and willing to answer. We have coming for reappointment Ms. Christine Bailey, Ms. Lydia Jackson, Mr. Terry Moore, and Mr. Stan Varner. All of these persons will be reappointed for another 3 years. And, of course, we are excited to have them do what they do. They constantly working with Ms. Swain downtown to make sure that we're helping to make downtown a very exciting place to live, work, and play. So I'm certainly excited about these reappointments, and these are they. Any questions?
Thank y'all for being here today. Appreciate what y'all do, and appreciate the help that y'all give to my little neck of the woods as a representative for this area. So we appreciate all that extra work y'all do. And I did reach out to. I know Liz had asked if we knew when these appointments were coming up, but that was last week or something. And then when I saw it on the agenda, I didn't know. But she did. So I reached out to her today. She did mention that she had a doctor's appointment today, but that she'd be here tomorrow. So,
okay, that'd be great.
Just want to thank you all for your service.
Absolutely, and so they won't have to come back if we do what we've been doing in the past. But I do want to thank them for their service that they've already given to Downtown Development Authority. And, of course, if you got a robust, thriving downtown, your entire city really reap the benefit. So thank you all so much. All right, and we'll probably ask council on tomorrow as you approve the appointments and reappointments of our Workforce Development Board, if we can take a look at doing these also so that they can take care of their business. Thank you so much for coming today.
I have one question before y'all leave.
As if you didn't know any of these people and couldn't see them any other time.
No, I just wanted to get why they're here and express before the council. What do you see as some opportunities or some things that we're not doing that we can do to assist in helping develop and continue to grow downtown? Any responses to that?
I think that my husband and I own Norrisworthy Art Gallery on Texas Street, but we own the building, and not only do we have the business, but we also live there. We live on the second floor. We moved in 2007, and while things have greatly improved downtown over the years, I think one of the things that we need to work on is more police presence downtown. I would like to see some officers maybe walking around and just kind of checking on things, and instead of riding around so much in their cars, I like to see them walking around and talking with some of the citizens, and try to be there and make a personal presence.
Okay, very good.
That's one thing.
Any others?
Sure.
Just this afternoon, Councilman, I had a doctor come by the office, and he spoke of how he and another partner were investing in downtown, and that they were bringing forth renovating a building, and how he had put his own personal money into it, and is seeking other investors to come in. And his intent was to attract more people like him outside of the medical community, and he was drawn to downtown and really wanted to see, and he felt that it would be a viable entrepreneurial experience, and he wanted to continue to see other events like that happen. So we thank you for improving downtown and giving people who wouldn't otherwise have an opportunity to do it.
Good. Ms. Jackson?
Thank you, Councilman Bradford. I think critical to the health and well-being of downtown, we're seeing a lot of development activity, but making sure that we continue to support the state in historic tax credits for renovation is very, very critical. Got a lot of old buildings in downtown Shreveport, many of them architecturally significant and historically significant. So the rehabilitation cost of those properties is especially onerous. So making sure that we keep those credits in place, I think, continues to fuel the kind of activity we see going on downtown.
Great.
Thank you, Councilman. What I would say is that from a revenue standpoint, I think we do a great job working in uniform with you all when it comes to the streetscape, and now that we're working on bringing in the new meters and generating more revenue with that. So us allowing to be able to help with that, I think, will help generate revenue for the city. So I'd like to thank you guys for the opportunity to allow us to do that. So.
And let me say why I asked that question, and I appreciate all your remarks. Everything you said was on point. Shreveport downtown is transitioning. It's not the downtown it was 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. It's actually a neighborhood in downtown. I mean, and when you think about a neighborhood, you think about what's suffices neighborhood. What are the components of a neighborhood? Police presence, shops. You need, the things that you would want in your neighborhood that you did not want to have to leave your neighborhood to secure or to engage. And that's where I see Shreveport going. And I think you guys have a vision. You just expressed it on what we can do and how you can bring your ideals and make them come into the reality of the new Shreveport, the new downtown Shreveport. And I appreciate you guys willing to serve, but we're going to need, I mean, with the residential expansions that's going on, we're gonna need those entities that complement the downtown or a neighborhood or a community, and that's the area that in the direction I think we're going. So thank you again for your service.
Thank you all.
If I could just add one more thing real quickly, y'all can sit down, but I just want to thank y'all, and your comments as you were saying it reminded me of another thing that will be great for them to become knowledgeable about, as it is for everyone, but particularly members of DDA, because it's part of that area, is the opportunity zones. When those, when the federal government does finally release their final plan, I know they've been kind of hinting at it, but they haven't given the final.
Absolutely.
But that is a really great program. I know the administration worked to make sure downtown was included.
Yes.
And it's, the way they draw their lines is a little different. So the more knowledgeable y'all can kind of be about that, the better we can take advantage of it. And just wanted to kind of keep that on everyone's mind, because eventually they'll release the numbers, and we'll want to be prepared.
Absolutely. And if I could, we're working diligently every day trying to recruit, and we're doing it, people that want to come downtown that are not putting in residential. So we've already gotten some of those businesses, and we're going to be getting more. But we have a vision about some other things like, a market, pharmacy, gas stations. And so we're already in conversations with various developers and businesses who want to do that kind of thing. Just know that, we have that vision, and we're working on it. Yeah. And thank you all again for coming today. You don't have to stay. I know that some of you need to get back to your job. So thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing me to bring those reappointments up.
Yes, ma'am. And that's all you have?
Yes, sir. Today.
Okay. Mr. Green, anyone has anything related to the property standard? Seeing none, before you make it all the way down, thank you, sir. Mr. Crawford, you got that. Mr. Bradford, you sent us what we needed from you. We don't have anyone else to speak. We have the following. Executive appointments to be considered tomorrow.
You got a public hearing, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, let's get into that. Public hearing, we're required on tomorrow to hold a public hearing on ordinance 80 of 2018.
Correct.
Okay. And, okay. Mr. Crawford, you can continue.
Yeah, we're on confirmations and appointments to be considered tomorrow. These are City of Shreveport Local Workforce Development Board. These are private reappointments. Jonna Hayes for a 3-year appointment, Alina Robertson, 3-year appointment, Robert Ewing for a 3-year appointment. New appointments include Reginald D. Wells for a 4-year appointment and Jim Shockley for a 4-year appointment. Public new appointees include Curtis Shepard for a 5-year appointment, Michael Joyner for a 5-year appointment, and Daphne Smallwood Smith for a 5-year appointment.
Okay. There's no question. Any items to be, no items on the consent agenda for the introduction? Mr. Crawford, you can continue.
No, sir. We're under consent agenda legislation. These are items to be adopted, ordinances and resolutions. Resolution 117 for the certification of compliance with the State of Louisiana Off-System Bridge Replacement Program. This is an annual requirement that we send into the state. This will be for bridge repairs that we're responsible for from October 1st of this year until September 30th of 2019.
Okay. No questions? Mr. Crawford?
Regular agenda legislation. These are resolutions on second reading and final passage, or which will require only one reading. Resolution 113 is a resolution authorizing the Shreveport Airport Authority to execute a permanent right-of-way and easement with Southwest Electric Power Company. Resolution 114 authorizes the mayor to execute and accept an act of donation between the City of Shreveport and Black and Nelson LLC, hereinafter called owner and acting herein through Jed Blackborough, for the water main extension and relative facilities to serve Industrial Loop Business Park Unit 3 and Unit 4. Resolution 115 accepts a donation from Shreveport Green and the Querbees Park Foundation. This is a donation to renew the tees and other landscaping improvements not to exceed $25,000. Resolution 121 honoring Mrs. Maddie Bradford Watts on the occasion of her 100th birthday.
Councilman Bradford.
Mr. Chairman, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask the council to support Resolution 121, only because my Aunt Maddie, who's very self-sufficient, is turning 100 on Wednesday. But we're going to have a celebration on Saturday, big celebration, and I wanted to read the resolution from the council expressing their well wishes to her on her birthday. I wrote some points. Mr. Thompson thought it was too long, so he's modifying them. He'll have notes.
Then more people fall
Thank
asleep
you,
at the party. Or is it more for us? Is he worried about the party people or the council listening to it?
Why'd you wait 4 years, Art, to do that?
So that'll be covered up tomorrow. Thank you.
Where she live, Councilman Bradford?
Oh, my aunt lives in Waldo, Arkansas. She was born and raised in Belcher. She lived in Shreveport. She got married and moved to Waldo, and her husband passed away about 12 years ago. And but she still lives by herself. She lived with her niece, and but she still can get up and cook and clean and do the things that she do. Thank you.
All right. Councilwoman Lynch?
Yeah, a quick question about the Querbees.
Yes.
Where is this money coming from? I mean, I see Shreveport Green / Querbees Park Foundation, but I'm not real clear on.
Foundation.
Hang on just a second.
I have a pretty good feel that it's coming from the foundation as
It is.
It is coming from the
It is.
foundation.
They're investing the money in the golf course, and this is how we're accepting it.
Right.
So where does Shreveport Green come in at?
They're the fiscal agent.
Fiscal agent.
It just has to run through
Okay,
them.
so they're
Corby's Park Foundation does fundraisings, and then they contribute it into an account. owned by
so they don't have a they're not a five are they a
They're not.
501c3?
Nope.
No.
Okay. Sounds vaguely familiar to another situation.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Crawford, please proceed.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, we're under introduction of resolutions not to be adopted prior to October the 23rd. Resolution 118 stating the City of Shreveport's endorsement of NIF LLC to participate in the benefits of the Louisiana Restoration Tax Abatement Program. This is the property at 1110 Sam R. Fertitta Drive. It's 5,378 square feet. These are 5-year tax abatements for the $630,000 investment at a cost of $3,348.05 per year. There will be a technical amendment to this tomorrow. I believe if we hadn't got it, Mr. Attorney, it lists.
It's actually on there.
Is it on there now?
Because today was up for introduction.
Okay.
we were able
The
to.
original one said it was in the downtown development district. It's actually in the Center City Economic Development District, which also qualifies for that tax abatement. Resolution 119
And
approving.
just FYI,
Go
that
ahead.
link on our agenda is
Yeah, I
not,
just told the clerk.
not working right. It doesn't go through.
Okay. I'll let
That being
IT
said,
know.
it looks like a great thing to support.
It is. Super
They've done
good.
really good work there.
Another building in the area getting renovated. Great. Resolution 119 approves the 2019 Downtown Development Authority Program. This has been in place since 1978 and requires through revised statute that a program of work be submitted to the council for approval in 30 days after this submission. Resolution 120 accepts a donation from Downtown Shreveport Unlimited. This is from DSU. They will spend about $75,000 to improve the Festival Plaza Tower. They'll contract this out, do the painting and replacement and the decoration of the lighting.
Mr. Chairman, if you refresh your page, 118, the link is working now.
Okay.
Is that working?
It is indeed.
All right. Mr. Crawford, would you proceed with the introduction of ordinance?
Certainly. Introduction of ordinances, Mr. Chair, not to be adopted prior to October the 23rd, 2018. Ordinance 82 amends the City of Shreveport, Louisiana 2018 capital improvements budget. This is $6,735,000, all being provided from the Louisiana Department of Transportation and the FAA. This is part of the $16 million grant that they received and the mayor announced a couple of weeks ago. This has 4 projects in there. One is for runway extension at Regional Airport for $3.2 million. The other is for taxiway rehabilitation at Regional for $3 million. There's a noise land reuse plan for $460,000. And the fourth one is obstruction and mitigation on runway at the downtown airport for $75,000. Ordinance 83 is to correct the alley width referred to in Ordinance 137 of 2013 with regard to the Benson Court closing and abandonment of Tile 2 Shreveport in Section 37, T18 North and R14 West. That was incorrectly listed at 10 feet when it's actually a 20-foot berth. Resolution 84 closes and abandons a portion of the alley in Block 1 of the W.R. Carter's subdivision in Tile 5 Shreveport in Section 37, T18 North, R14 West. And then Ordinance 85 is to repeal and replace Section 90-304 and revise Sections 102 through 128 of the City of Shreveport, Louisiana Code of Ordinances relative to revising and updating terminology that previously referenced the downtown transit terminal. And Ordinance 86 amends the 2018 Community Development Special Revenue Fund, and this is to place the first $1.25 million from the Choice Neighborhood Grants that was announced about a month ago. This is 6 months of operational costs to be placed in that fund. Ordinance 87 amends various articles and sections of the City of Shreveport, Louisiana Unified Development Code. Ordinance 88 is a MPC case number C-52-18. This ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the City of Shreveport Unified Development Code by rezoning property located in the northwest corner of East Kings Highway and Burt Coons Industrial Loop Expressway. Shreveport, Cattle Parish, Louisiana, from RA Rural Agricultural District to C4 Heavy Commercial District. Ordinance 89 is case number C-53-18. This is an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the City of Shreveport Unified Development Code by rezoning property located on the north side of Westburg-Coons Industrial Loop, approximately 325 feet east of Southwood Drive, Shreveport, Cattle Parish, Louisiana, from C3 General Commercial District to C4 Heavy Commercial District. And Ordinance 90 is case number C-55-18. This is an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the City of Shreveport Unified Development Code by rezoning property located at 1155 McKinley Avenue and property on North Market Street, Shreveport, Cattle Parish, Louisiana, from I-2 Heavy Industrial District to I-MU Industrial Mixed Use District. The following are 2019 budget ordinances. Council be aware that the administration will provide a budget presentation overview at the next council meeting on 10/23, closer to when we actually having the public hearing. Ordinance 91 adopts the 2019 capital projects fund budget. Ordinance 92 adopts the 2019 Riverfront Development Fund budget. Ordinance 93 adopts the 2019 General Fund budget. Ordinance 94 adopts the 2019 Retained Risk Fund budget. Ordinance 95 adopts the 2019 Metropolitan Planning Commission Fund budget. Ordinance 96 adopts the 2019 Community Development Special Revenue Fund budget. Ordinance 97 adopts the 2019 Grant Special Revenue Fund budget. Ordinance 98 adopts the 2019 Shreveport Redevelopment Agency Special Revenue Fund budget. Ordinance 99 adopts the 2019 Downtown Entertainment Economic Development Special Revenue Fund budget. Ordinance 100 adopts the 2019 Golf Enterprise Fund budget. Ordinance 101 adopts the 2019 Airport Enterprise Fund budget. Ordinance 102 adopts the 2019 Water and Sewerage Fund budget. Ordinance 103 adopts the 2019 budget funding contractual services provided to Sportran by Metro Management Association, Inc. Ordinance 104 adopts the 2019 Downtown Parking Enterprise Fund budget. Ordinance 105 adopts the 2019 Convention Center Enterprise Fund budget. Ordinance 106 adopts the 2019 Convention Center Hotel Enterprise Fund budget. Ordinance 107 adopts the 2019 Debt Service Fund budget. Ordinance 108 adopts the 2019 Street Special Revenue Fund budget. And Ordinance 109 adopts the 2019 Development Authority budget.
Okay. Vice Chairman Jenkins.
Yes, question, budget books, when do we expect to receive?
They were turned in by law on October 1st
They're ready.
They're ready.
by the administration. So,
Fantastic. Just
what happened to them? What happened to them after that? We don't know.
Hey, no, just, I thought I would just ask since.
Sure, certainly.
They're upstairs. Upstairs.
They're in the council's office. That's the
No, I got the note. I'm just curious. I didn't know what day we were supposed to get them. Okay. Sensitivity to that question.
Mr. Crawford, would you proceed with ordinance on second reading, final passage?
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. Find my place. Ordinances on second reading and final passage. These ordinance 76 authorizing the mayor to execute a lease of city-owned property located at 109 Spring Street, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71101 in Cattle Parish, to 107 Spring Street LLC for improvements to the subject property, including creation of additional downtown public parking for purposes which benefit the public. Ordinance 77 amends the 2018 capital improvements budget. That is for the airport. And Ordinance 78 amends the 2018 capital improvements budget. That's also for the airport to buy that Fob Boss Mats debris remover. Ordinance 79 notifying Union Pacific and other interested parties that the city engineer and director of public works through the office of the mayor are authorizing to begin the process of reopening vehicular access to Lake Street from Commerce Street to Skyport Discovery Center, including reopening vehicular access to cross over the Lake Street Railroad grade crossing as specified herein. Ordinance number 80 to repeal and replace Chapter 36 of the City of Shreveport, Louisiana Code of Ordinances relative to the Historic Preservation Commission. And Ordinance 81 adding Article 6 Needle Exchange Program to Chapter 50 Miscellaneous Offenses of the City of Shreveport, Louisiana Code of Ordinances relative to the authorization of a needle exchange program.
Okay. Before I'm going to call Councilwoman this, but I want to ask Mr. Clark, if he would explain 8 and 9 to me a little bit more in depth why it has to go to C4. But Councilwoman Linsky, go first.
Let me ask about ordinance 76. Now, what business is this at 107 Spring Street?
What's the name of that business?
Graphic
Yeah, I think it's Graphic X. They have a small business that's located right across the street from the convention center parking on the north side. They already have a parking lot there, but there's an adjacent gravel parking lot there that's the 109 that the city owns. They're going to pave that parking lot and use it for their business parking, but it's also going to be available for public parking as well. There's a map on the last
It's on
page.
the map.
Yeah.
So explain that to me. We're leasing it to them?
Yeah,
We're
because-
leasing the additional parking?
It's still city property. They're improving city property.
Okay.
And because it has a public use, we're allowing them to do that.
We don't have to pay any money.
Meaning?
We don't have to pay any money to pave that parking lot. They're going to do it for us. So they're going to have access to that for their business, but the public's also going to have access to that parking lot.
During, at any time?
At any time.
Yeah, at any time. I mean, they'll be able to use it for their business during the day, but it also will be a public parking lot as well. There's one adjacent to it that's just to the south of there. That's a city lot. It's a paved city lot as well.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Councilman Emerson.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody with all these multiple things that I have going on right now. I wanted to just be clear again. We had a chance to talk about Lake Street Crossing. It is my intention to postpone that tomorrow to allow Union Pacific time to submit their plans to the city. Hopefully that will be the case. I would appreciate your support on that. Ordinance 81, we've already postponed that one to allow some further review and give everybody time to ask questions, but I do want to just, if anyone has any questions or needs some additional information I can help to provide, please let me know. And Ordinance 80 is one that, I feel ready to vote on it. I know I did have some questions from some council members about it. And what I've done is I asked Karen to come up with a little timeline because that legislation is also involved with, there's a couple other pieces that I didn't want to get too confusing. So we have a little timeline that shows, which pieces of legislation do what. This one that's before us tomorrow really is more of a clarification of, kind of how the Historic Preservation Commission, works, and it provides it some authority right now. The way it's currently written, they have to adopt certain things before they can have the authority to do other things, and it's just a little confusing the way it currently stands. This would clarify that, but now the other thing that will come later is the idea of moving the land use things into the UDC. And so that is a change, but that's not necessarily, those land use things still have to go for a review before the MPC, and the MPC will forward us two separate items. They will forward us one that's a code text amendment and one that's a map amendment. So we won't actually vote on all of those until the first meeting in November. So this is an aspect of something that will have more legislation coming. And I'll provide a timeline just so that doesn't get too confusing. I just wanted to make sure if anybody did have some kind of questions up front.
Mr. Chairman, Councilman Everson, you, and I think I communicated with you the concern of Lane Kellaway and Gary Journer. Did you have a chance to speak with them?
I have spoken with them at length over the last 5 years, and they have been they have had some concerns about that. I think they are very very great public servants. I really appreciate all that they do. But for some reason, I do think there's been a hesitancy to kind of move forward with some of the aspects of this policy. And I actually think that this is going to help them do what they do really well, which is to focus on the historical side and the creation of districts and things like that. I think this is going to be something they're very happy with. I know they very much think of it as a measure twice, cut once, but we've been measuring for 5 years, and I think it's time to cut. And I think this is good. If they don't like it, the city council still exists, and they can go rewrite something, whether or not I'm here or not. Whoever replaces me, I think, will be very capable of taking this issue up. I trust that the council can revisit this later if it needs to be. But I think this is also really well written. I think what the city attorney's office has proposed is very well done. I think it will be something that serves them well and our city well. So I wouldn't be supporting it if I didn't think it, that it did all parties justice. And so I still think it's worth moving forward with, but I understand their hesitancy. I just am not sure I just think they might just be hesitant in general, just about it, because I know it's very important to them and they want to get it right. But it's a situation where I don't really want perfect to become the enemy of good, so we can keep working on getting it perfect, but let's pass something that's really good right now. So that's kind of where I come from.
I wanted to remind you that on this that is up for adoption tomorrow, which is Ordinance 80, the HPC has reviewed several times at the last 2 meetings, and they did vote unanimously to recommend this piece of legislation. But as you said, there's a whole series of ordinances coming up, but this very first one that's up for adoption, they have voted unanimously to recommend it to you.
Okay. Well, I guess, like you, I was surprised this morning when I heard from them, because we did discuss it 2 weeks ago, and I thought we had agreed that, it was a healthy resolution, but they did express some reservations. I asked them to come today, actually, and they couldn't come, but the public hearing is tomorrow, and I want to remind them that they have opportunity to come and be a part of that.
Absolutely.
And express to the council what they feel like is some of the obstacles of this.
Absolutely, I welcome that, and but again, I think that when something's really important to you, you want to make sure you get it right. But sometimes it's. Sometimes we have to trust ourselves and move forward with what looks really good, and I think this is a good piece of legislation. The city attorney's office has done excellent work on it. I really think this is a good product. I think they do too. I think they're just nervous, but that's only my interpretation, and I'm very happy for them to give their impressions as well, and I trust we'll make the right decision.
So it's good for them, but they don't know it. Kind of like your parents trying to get you to
Well, I mean, they did vote to support it, in their meeting. These guys were part of that unanimous vote to support it. So they did vote to support it. So now,
I'm
just trying to follow the logic. So it's kind of like your parents telling you that broccoli is good for you. You don't know it at the time.
Well, I mean, I think they think they like broccoli.
They'll be okay.
I think they like broccoli, but they're just not ready to stab the fork into it yet. Something like that. They might not like the parent. They might not like that it's coming from me. But I don't know. We'll see.
I didn't know if you still wanted me or not. But,
no, we don't.
You don't? I can leave. Happily, I'll leave. I eat broccoli all the time.
Don't come unless we call for you.
I was trying to see what was the purpose from going from C3 to C4, I guess.
Well, in order to be able to do the wholesale showroom and warehouse, it would require either going to a light industrial use, or we have the new special zoning classification, the heavy commercial use, the C4, where they could do what they need to do with the special use permit, and that gives us the opportunity to ensure that all of the negative impacts will be mitigated, and it doesn't put a industrial use right in the middle of all the commercial uses. And if you look at the vicinity maps that you have, and it has residential uses around it, but we have the necessary protections in place with the special use permit to ensure that it's not negatively impacted upon these residents. And the building is far enough away, the building is turned in such a way that the residents are protected. But we decided that we recommended that you would not want to, in order to approve this, you would want to place an industrial use, which would constitute spot zoning anyway.
So if they want, so what that would be You have to make an entryway from the backside?
They are in a, if I'm correct in this, they are in a position where, if you look at the property is adequately separated from those residents to the west of the use, and everything else. You got a mini warehouse storage building to the east, and then you have Bert Coons, and there's more than adequate protection to the rear of the building. We went through all of this in the public hearing with the neighbors because initially they were not happy and they said some wonderful things about Councilman Fleury, but once we went through the process, they became happy, if I'm not mistaken, Councilman Fleury. And
yeah, we support businesses. Yeah. Well, when they weren't happy, they were calling me because I connected him on the other end of there, so I was just trying to make sure that we were all on the same page.
But we explained everything to them and made sure that their concerns in the event, I think their major concern was if at such time as this building is bought by someone else and it's demolished and another building is built there. But we explained to them that new construction would require site plan approval by the MPC staff, which would ensure that the residents are protected. And the uses would be of such a nature that we would have the right to approve them.
Okay, I get it. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Mr. Thompson, was there any legislation to be removed?
I'm not aware of any, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Green, would you come forward, please?
Property standards.
We have two property standards appeals to consider today.
It doesn't look like
Hey,
Spring
Art,
Street.
Art, if there's no legal reason, may I ask that we just remove Mr. Hollinshead's name from this item on the agenda?
Okay.
I don't necessarily.
He sold it, right?
I know.
It's about to be removed anyway because they're doing exactly what they said they would do. So I think that would be easy to grant. But
Our first case is 401 Spring Street. And let's see, let me get you some inside shots. The roof has been removed. The inside of the structure has been cleaned out. And in speaking with permits, we are asking that we can turn this over to permits and we can close out a proper standards case.
And I would like to make the motion to do what Terrence said.
Been moved by Councilman Everson and second by Councilman Corbin.
And would like to also just say thanks to everybody who kind of went on this longer journey of the path we've gone through to get this building with an owner who is reinvesting in it and doing things that are great for it. This is it took a little longer than probably we had dreamed of it taking, but it not too much longer. And really, they're getting after it now with some great improvements. And from what I'm told, the contractor who's working on it apparently is feeling kind of inspired and looking at other buildings in the area as well. So these are good things. I'm happy to see it
There's
come
another
out like
one with
this.
a little caving-in roof problem. Couple 100 feet.
That may be on their radar.
Excellent.
That may be on their radar now. So
Excellent.
that's
That would be
it's a good thing. And stay tuned to the I believe the Caddo Parish Commission has a vote to make related to that sometime soon as well. Great. They already did. Okay, good.
Motion passes with 6 and 1 out of the chamber.
That's to dismiss the appeal
Yes, sir.
because a violation has been
Correct. Now, on this next one, I talked with Arthur about this earlier, and we can get through the pictures if you want, but this family has been in some communication with us. They were not able to be here today. We postponed this. I'm not really interested in postponing this a lot longer, but they asked to, that since they weren't able to be here, I would like to see if we can hear this tomorrow, because they did commit to being able to be here tomorrow, and I would like for their comments to be on record so that we can hear from them. Is everybody okay with that? All right, then I'll make that.
Can't wait to hear.
I know, right? Neither could I, and boy, did I hear a lot.
It's going to have to be powerful.
Anyway, we'll look forward to that tomorrow, and I appreciate that. And so I'll make a motion to postpone hearing this until tomorrow's meeting.
Second. Councilman Everson, and was already seconded by Councilman Corbin. Please vote. Motion carries by 7. No other appeals. Mr. Thompson?
No other appeals.
Are there any reports from officers, boards, and committee? And the clerk's report.
We have an executive session tomorrow, immediately after the city council meeting, for the 2 items that are on your agenda. I believe you have them. If not, I can go over that. And the only other item that we had was the appointment to the DDA, and you've already heard from those appointees.
Okay. Well, if there's nothing else, then this. Mr. Chair, I'm sorry.
No, additional communications from council members.
Y'all done talked enough today.
I know, I'm telling you. Yeah, Everson and Bradford.
Attorney Bradford. I'll keep it brief now. Attorney Bradford.
I'm sorry, I'll defer. I know you're at additional communication from the mayor and then from the council. I can go after that.
Attorney Bradford.
Yes, sir. I just want to say thank you to everyone that reached out last week with the death of my wife's stepfather. Thank the mayor's office and, of course, the members of the council. Everyone reached out. I appreciate that. And also my City of Shreveport family. So thank you for your thoughts and prayers. Just want to say that.
Yes, sir. All right, Councilwoman Lynch.
Wait, I had, I've been getting my behind chewed out since National Night Out. It was great. All of the events were great that I made it to, I think 7 in my district. But it must have been, the time I guess people were feeling, well, some people were feeling real good with some of the parties. But I just had so many issues, let me say, that were brought to my attention. I'm not going to call them complaints. But people were very forward-coming with a lot of things they were concerned about. And so that has continued on even through the day. I mean, the day I got my, what chewed out today. And Mayor, I'm just not, I'm not used to being chewed on like that. Okay. So I didn't quite enjoy that. And of course, when my constituents are upset, then I'm probably double upset about something. Because I find too many times that what they're bringing to my attention should not be, and they're legitimate concerns that they have. So I get a text last night at 10:59 that one of my constituents is bawling, crying, upset about the condition on her street. Okay. So I go over there today, and this is what I see. Can you all put that up for me, please? This is at Ellison and this is a dipped sidewalk here. The lady, I was on something else, and then I got called across the street about this. This is sewer work. This is after sewer work was done, and it was left like this. So we are paying somebody a lot of money to make sure that when these folks leave the area, that it's not left looking like that. One of the residents, another, it's two ladies on the street. She came out with a folder like this, little pad. She had from April, from when she initially called me, she had 3 pages of notes of calling on this problem here. She talked to Jimmy Jones. She talked to Mike Bell. She had talked to, like I said, myself back in April. And she had some other names down. I'm not sure if she talked to engineering or public works or whatever. But she had everything documented as to when she called, the time she called, what she was told, and who she talked to. A lot of times I get calls and people don't know who they talked to, but she had it all down. I'm not sure. I know we've met with, the CDM people, but I'm seeing this too much still. As I went through Ingleside and Morningside, National Night Out, it looks like hell. They still have projects that have not been remediation has not occurred. There's still cones up, and I didn't even get another picture. They fixed the sidewalk, but they left all the tape and the everything just there. The sidewalk, it's another shot. I don't think I have a picture of that. But the sidewalk was done, but they left all the tape just thrown about with the sticks still there on the other side of that lady's fence. I just don't have an explanation that I can give as to why this is occurring. This lady had done all the right things in terms of contacting them, contacting me. Of course, I'm sure I sent it over to you all, and I'm sure that got to CDM, but the work still has not gotten done. And of course, I was a little upset, even more upset about it, because they waited, this long, and then I've got a church sitting there on this street whose pastor is the I think the head of the pastor police, whatever it's called, pastors on patrol, on the same street that hadn't said a word to me about it anyway. Which I find problematic. So I guess it, and you don't really have, I'm not asking you it here right now because we have another meeting, but I'm just kind of at a loss as to what to tell people at this point, because this has been a continuing problem with some of the sewer projects. Okay. I need something done. I can't leave that street looking like that. That's ridiculous.
Let me respond, because
Okay.
I know that we've met and we've discussed, and we've met with the contractors. We've met with the company that oversees the consent decree work, and I think a lot of it is. I do want to say that once it reaches my desk, we push the button. And so we have a lot of work going on. That's just the truth of the matter. More work than we've ever had going on in this city because we're trying to get the consent decree work done. And so, I've said to many of our citizens, bear with us because we're trying to meet the deadline for the consent decree work. It does not mean that we should not be very cognizant of the fact that restoration should occur within a timely manner. And sometimes it doesn't occur within the first 3 or 4 weeks because they have to leave something open, from what I'm told, until something settles, and then they're able to go back in and restore. What I've tried to say to citizens, if you have been waiting longer than what you thought or what you were told, just call my office because then I can push the button. Sometimes I don't know about these things until months later. And when I do find out, then we get it done. And I shouldn't have to hear about it months later. And so, I work 16 hours a day for this city and sometimes longer. But I'm always open. I always respond. I always email them back. I always call them if they need a call. And so if they'll let me know, we have been deliberate in our communications with contractors, and maybe there's something else that I can do from my desk. I certainly will be looking at other ways to do more restoration in a more timely manner, and that's what I can commit to. I just need to know about it, before I get blamed, because they're going to blame me at the end of the day. And and I'm out there. I hear some of it. I don't hear as much as you probably because you're directly in your district. We've done more in your district probably than anybody else. That's probably why you're getting a lot of the heat. We started there because that's where we had the worst problems, and we were trying to address the area where we had the oldest and the worst sewer issues first. And so a lot of those were in your district. Unfortunately, that's how it's been. That's how it was left for years and years and years. And we're trying to get it all done. And I know that we're going to not always do it perfectly, but we're trying to get it done. And we will look for ways to try to improve on being more deliberate in getting the restoration done. But we'll think about some other ways that we can do that. And we'll come up with another plan and hold some people accountable and hold some money or do whatever we need to do until we can get a more timely response. Let me just add to that. A lot of times, and what I've seen in the past couple of years since we've been doing a lot of the infrastructure, some of the work you see may not be sewer work. Some may be. But we have a lot of utility companies that are now upgrading. Some of the particular gas lines are just coming loose under the ground. And, so CenterPoint's having to go in and do a lot. I know AT&T is having to go in and do a lot. SWEPCO is having to do a lot. And so, we're trying to help them keep up with some of the restoration also. Sometimes we put in a new street or we overlay a street and they come behind us because they need to upgrade in order to, for safety reasons. And when they do that, they end up cutting out pieces of what we just overlaid, and we don't always know. But just know that we are trying to address the infrastructure needs, and we have a lot of needs, and we're doing a lot of work. It's just that we need to do due diligence, I think, on trying to get the restoration done, and we'll work on that piece diligently.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about it. But I need to have this addressed, please.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
We will.
Thank you.
Councilman Bradford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me express to Linda Stewart how good it is to see her. I trust everything's well. Good to have you back. I failed to mention, and I wanted you to know, when I mentioned about my aunt's 100th birthday, and she was married to my uncle Kevin Coolidge Watts for over 60 years. He worked it with James Flurry's brother, Charlie, for the North Central Arkansas Gas Company. And when he had his heart attack, he was out in the field, and it was Charlie Flurry who found him out at a well site, and he had already deceased. But James's brother didn't leave. It was dark. Did not go home until he found my uncle out in the environment. So he's excited about coming to the celebration because he and my aunt established a relationship there. My other two announcements, Mr. Chairman, is that there's a Living Legend Gala planned for Dr. Shel Simpkins. I don't know if some of you have received that notification, but I'm looking to see how we can get the council seated there. The mayor is already committed to working with us, and she is proposing a lot of great things and to make it very successful. I thank you for that, Mayor. The benefit of the gala is going to be twofold. It's going to go toward the proceeds are going to go toward the project, the Galilee Restoration Civil Rights Museum project. The city have already secured some funds to help move that forward, and the Northwest Louisiana Coalition, Civil Rights Coalition, is using this opportunity to generate additional funding. Dr. Simpkins has allowed his name to be used, and we're looking forward for a great time. So I want you to, it's on November the 3rd, Saturday, November the 3rd, 6 p.m., but we're going to see with the clerk how we can secure a table for the council members. And I'm sure everybody got the notification that I-49 North is going to be, and I'm sure you're going to mention it tomorrow, it's going to be ribbon cutting for the opening of that last sector from I-220, and that's going to be held on October the 17th. The citizens of the MLK area is excited already because Russell Road will be opening this week. It's been closed now for three and a half years, and it has created such a traffic hardship. So things are moving in that part of town. So if you're available on the 17th, I think it's 9 a.m. On the ramp leading off of the MLK Drive, that's how you get to the ribbon cutting site. Come on by and be a part of that historical ribbon cutting. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Councilman Evans?
Never mind, I'm sorry, that was earlier. I've talked enough.
Cal, you have some more.
Going once, going twice. If there's nothing else, Mayor Tyler?
Nothing today. Thank you.